Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming and taking time with us this evening. I know it's hard to fit all these things in, so we appreciate all the time that you have and are willing to share with us this evening. So just to be clear, this is the 2020 AGM for the Springbank Community Association. We will be having the 2021 AGM later this fall. Typically, our AGMs will be in the fall, and just last year, due to COVID, we were optimistic we could sneak a in-person AGM in, but we were unable to. So now the rules are such that we have to have a Zoom AGM if we were unable to do in person. So this is our attempt at this. So thank you for your patience. If there's any technical issues, please reach out to Lynn. Her number, if you scroll to the top of the chat, she might be able to help you with anything, but it should be fine. You've all made
should have been
before,
Barbara.
so I feel like it's good. And I'm just trying to make sure that I have everyone in from the waiting room. And I would like to recognize that Kim McKyler has joined us, our representative from Division 2. So thank you, Kim, for taking the time to spend with us this evening also. And in terms of technical stuff, I think we've taken care of it. We've just asked you all to change your names. I believe that's done, just to make it easier on us when we try to write minutes. Our intent is that this should be done by 8 o'clock. We hopefully have it down to a system for this evening, and it shouldn't take too long. And generally, we just ask people to stay muted unless you're speaking. And ideally, we ask people, if you have questions or something, please go to the chat and type in your question, and Terry will monitor that chat just to make sure if there's anything there as we move through the agenda, if you have questions, that they're addressed. And we do plan to have a Q&A session at the end once the meeting is adjourned for people that just want to stay on and talk to us about what we're doing or our past year, that kind of thing. So to keep things moving along, our existing board members will be making motions and seconding motions, just to sort of keep things simple. Of course, a discussion is welcome. If you have something to raise, again, write it in the chat and we will address it. We need 7 members in good standing to constitute a quorum. So we have that. I have here 17 participants, so that's not too shabby. So quorum is met and we are good to go. The webinar, as I mentioned, is being recorded, and we've done the poll. So I will call the meeting to order at 7:13. All members who are here should have received our agenda. Jordan, I'm not sure if you did. Okay. And that agenda included the financials from 2020, as well as our 2019 minutes, and then some Zoom instructions. So for the voting, we do plan to use the polls just to keep it simple. And so when a motion comes forward, you'll be asked to, on the poll that is for that item, to vote in favor or oppose or abstain. And hopefully that will, and then we can show the results just so Terry is able to track that. And as I mentioned, our existing board members will make those motions. So our agenda will be just very briefly as follows. We will approve the agenda. We'll talk about our year in review. We will then ask for approval of our 2019 minutes from our 2019 AGM, approval of 2020 financials, approve the slate of candidates. If there's any other business, then we'll tackle it there. We don't anticipate anything. There might be one thing come up, though, something quick, and then we will adjourn the meeting and then allow time for Q&A.
Okay. I move to approve the agenda for the 2020 AGM of the Springbank Community Association.
Thank you, Lynn. A seconder?
I second.
That was
Judy.
Oh, Judy. Sounds good. Judy Hunter. Did you get that? Terry, do you want to type that in the chat? Are you good? And
Yeah, no, I got that. My computer just went off into
Okay.
some other place, but
I just put that in for
no,
posterity.
I got it. Thanks.
Okay, I don't imagine there's any discussion on that. If so, put it in the chat, and I will put up this poll to approve the agenda. Okay, I'll give you guys just 1 minute to click that. Hopefully that works. Can you guys see that? And that's, I'm going to end the polling there. So that's a majority. Of course, we had nobody opposed to that, to approve the agenda. So is that, does that work for everybody? Is that okay? Thumbs up. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So that motion is carried. Okay, the year in review, is it helpful? I'm going to pull up, I'm going to share my screen. And let's see if I can do this here. The AGM agenda somewhere here. Oh, I swear that thing has disappeared. I apologize. I thought I had this up, but it's gone. There we go. Apologies. Can everybody see that? So we've had a, thank you. We've had a busy couple of years. So our last AGM was in the fall of 2019. So almost 18 months have gone by. So I sort of broke this down into 2019-20 and now sort of into 2021. So we've continued to grow our newsletter. And I think, you know, all of you here today said you saw that and were able to you know, receive information that way, which is excellent. And I just want to thank Lynn and Shelley Davies, who's our part-time employee, for making sure that gets out every month. And that's quite a bit of work goes into that. And we're continuing to refine it. And we're excited about what that can be in the future. We have sort of more ideas coming. And we're just really, really excited as that is a method to reach our community. And I would challenge you that if you have neighbors or people in the community that you come across that don't receive it, just encourage them to come sign up. They can email us or sign up on our website to get our newsletter. We have been purchasing community signs, those big signs you see in the ditch. So those have been good because people definitely seem to see them, and they were used for SR1. We've been renting them for now to Springbank Soccer, and our intent when we purchased them was that we can recover those costs for the purchase by renting them out in the community. So we're happy to rent them to whomever, which is a good way to sort of make sure that our community is getting a profile, and all of our organizations locally are getting profile once if we're not using them. So those have been great, and thank you to Ian Galbraith for managing those signs. It's a pretty big chunk of work, and Ian does a great job always fixing them when they tip over in the wind and changing all of the letters. It's a big job, so thank you, Ian. Of course, much of our work in the last year and a half has been on SR1. That has taken a huge effort and commitment by this board. I would say somewhat financial, which we'll talk about at the next AGM, but also just in terms of significant volunteer contributions. And I would say nearly everyone in our board has been intimately involved in some way with SR1, whether it's attending the open houses or helping create letters to regulators. And it sort of takes a village. I would say our board has worked very closely with lots of different residents throughout the greater Springbank area. And we've really gotten to know a lot of people, some of whom are here today at the AGM. So thank you to those folks. And I just want to note, Terry Dowsett has spent a ton of time, originally in 2020, reviewing our submission to the federal regulator, and her husband Ian provided significant review and contribution to that document. So thank you, Terry, and your hubby, who also participated in the hearing and was amazing. And to Jan Erisman, our board member, who really has been such an amazing voice of reason when it comes to SR1, making sure that we're sort of distilling our messages down to something that makes sense, because it's such a complex project and it has taken, it's easy to get in the weeds, and Jen is always able to sort of bring us out of the weeds and say, so what do people need to know? And so from a community standpoint, I find that's been really good. And so thank you, Jen, and thank you for your time commitment at that SR1 hearing. That was definitely a huge undertaking. So I just wanted to recognize Jan there. And I realized I didn't actually introduce our board members. So they all are here. They have board in front of their name before I continue on. So I'm the president of the Community Association. I have Ian Galbraith, who's there, who's our treasurer. Terry Dowsett is our secretary, and our vice president is outgoing Chris Berry, and I don't see him here tonight. And so then our directors at large, we have Barbara Clark, who's here. We have, well, let me just scroll down. I don't see Simone Byers. She'll be here somewhere. And of course, Jan Erisman. We also are, Clarence Buckley is an outgoing director at large also. There, have I missed anyone?
Then Lynn.
Oh, Lynn, thank you. Sorry about that, who's been like helping me with this AGM. So thank you, Lynn, and thank you for that, all that newsletter work. So apologies. So I'm going to go back to this. Anyways, SR1 is effectively wrapped up. So the regulatory hearing concluded on April 7th, and now it sits before regulators. And I think it definitely was a massive undertaking for our community, but in many ways, sometimes these things are an opportunity to make connections across the community that would have never been made, and not just within Springbank, but to Bright Creek and Redwood Meadows, and more broadly, even to people as far as those folks like Glenbow Ranch Provincial Park, which has a potential dam coming their way. So, sometimes these things have a blessing in disguise, and I think probably that's the case here, whatever the outcome. We have continued to work on some of our programs. We found that at first, when we started our programming in 2018, we maybe didn't have the reach through our network to get enough sort of respondents to make sense of some of these programs. But subsequently, I think we will be more successful than we were because we have such now a broader reach and more ways to get people in the community aware of what we're doing. So our engineering nights were great. I love to continue more of those. We tried a personal safety class. We did the B-Box building. We've had some family games night. Callaway Park has been amazing. Their willingness to partner with us. And so we've done that twice, but of course, last year with COVID, we're unable to. And we also would like to proceed with our music series, which Jan, who's on here, we're looking to him to hopefully kick off this year with COVID. So lots happening on the activities front. And then we started 2 years ago, we started our first fundraiser, which was Davidson Orchard apple sales. And so the first year we sold not too many, but enough to make sense of it. And then last year we more than doubled our sales by partnering with Springbank Soccer. So that was sort of a win-win opportunity, and we plan to do that again this year. And then for this year, another fundraiser that we've taken on is this raffle with the Springbank Community High School, trying to get this innovation lab. Jordan, I think that's what it's called, an innovation lab, because these kids are brilliant and they have an amazing teacher, and they're making do, and we shouldn't have to just make do. We should be able to thrive and have our kids thrive and have the tools they need in this community. So we are really excited to be able to contribute in a meaningful way to Springbank High School. And, I think hopefully spread the word. We're pretty close to selling all the tickets, I believe, but we would love to get a sellout, and we'd love to get a really positive and impactful win for this community. So we continue to be on social media. I just thought it's something we could track every year is, you know, how many people are following us on social media. Instagram has gone from nothing to something, which has been good. And thank you, Lynn, for taking on that Instagram. That's a black box for me. And most of our programs right now are on hold due to COVID, even though we had some success in the past. So we'll just see where that goes. And one thing we see in the community is that, and we've tried to engage over the last, I would say 18 months with Rocky View County on the planning and development side. And we're seeing a lot of activity within the county in terms of Springbank development, some things that, you know, I think are surprising to people, maybe bigger than people were expecting or different, and things seem to be moving pretty quickly. So, you know, we started off by sort of writing letters to Rocky View County on a few things, and I would say with mixed success, and we would really believe that we can be stronger in that area, at least, you know, trying to hold these projects to a process that is transparent and has met some basic principles such as engagement that would be sufficient. And in some cases, I think, you know, engagement is okay, and in some cases it's not. And that's where we really believe education and engagement are sort of core principles for how we move forward on that front. And so we'll just continue to plug away at that, but that's sort of something we need to work on a bit more. Okay, is there any questions about anything I've said? I'm trying to figure out how to get back to my chat, but I don't even know how. Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Oh, take
Just scroll to the
down.
bottom.
Did I not take the pull down? Yeah, I'm there. So does anybody have any questions about that? It's sort of year in review before we move on? And we can always save them to the end once the meeting is adjourned also. Okay, well, we will move on then. So the 2019 minutes, everyone has received those. I'm not sure how many of you had a chance to look at them. Before we ask for a motion to approve them, were there any comments, questions, or corrections on those minutes? No? Okay. All right. So I'm going to put up a poll then.
We have to make a motion.
Oh, thank you. Who's Terry?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. Can I have a seconder?
Judy Hunter, I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy. Let's see if I can get this right. Stop share results. Oh, I'm sorry, Barbara. You're just going to have to speak up when I don't know what I'm doing. Poll 2. Okay, let's try this again. Do you guys see that? Okay. Great. I'm going to end that. That's a majority, so I can just show that. All right, Barbara, I will do this time. Stop sharing results. So that motion is carried. Thank you. There we go. Okay, the financials, on to the next thing. So that's attachment A of this document. And as required in our bylaws, 2 members, in this case it was 2 board members, Terry Dowsett and myself, reviewed the financials for the fiscal year ended April 30th, 2020. So I just want to provide some highlights. Would it be useful if I scroll to that part of the agenda for, there we go. So this is our balance sheet. Ian has provided 3 years of financials. So I just want to highlight, obviously the one thing that jumps out is the investment that we have in the GIC. So a few years ago, the land and building for the community association was sold to the schools because our building was sitting on the middle school lot. So that asset now sits within the community association with the intent to be used for and was earmarked for a new community hall and management of that old school that's currently still sitting on the Springbank Middle School site. Is sort of the old historic Springbank School that Clarence attended actually when he was a young boy, and some pictures of that in the park for all seasons. So that's the one thing that jumps out there. And I just wanted to let you know that money sort of has been earmarked. And the second thing is we have accounts receivable there of about, I believe it's $14,000 or so, 15,000 for amounts owing from Rocky View County to the Community Association because they're cost sharing the feasibility study on a new community center with us. So that still has to go to the county, and that's what they'll owe us there. And just next on the income statement, you can just see every year we're sort of growing our activity, which I think is good. So over the last 3 years, we've definitely been more engaged in our programming, and we have had some of those professional fees that goes to our person who manages our website and helps with our newsletter every month. And also in this year, I believe 2020, we had some SR1 expenses for creation of videos. So those are the financial highlights. Are there any questions on any of these before we move forward with the motion? Okay, I'm going to assume that's no. Ian, would you like to make that motion?
Is he muted?
I don't know.
He's muted.
Okay, someone else can go ahead.
I'm muting. I think he's trying to talk.
I don't even.
Unmute, Ian.
His lips moving. I'm muting.
Oh, it got muted.
There we
Okay,
go.
There
can
you
you hear
are.
me now? Sorry, everybody should be able to read lips by now, I guess. Anyway, so thank you very much for that quick recap, Karen, on the financials. Yes, there's not a lot of, might say, detail involved. They're pretty straightforward. I try to include explanations in our notes so that everybody has an understanding of what our activity and obligations are. Anyway, given all that and lack of other feedback, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the financials for 2019-20, 2020 as presented.
I'll
Is there a
second it.
seconder?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you, Terry.
Terry.
Okay.
Okay, and we will then attempt to do this poll thing one more time. I'm getting better at it. Okay, there you go. Okay, so I'm just going to end that one there. That is a majority, and I can share these results. So thank you, that motion is carried. Stop share results. Okay, Barbara, thank you for that tip. That's helpful. Okay, so our board of directors, the association has been working with 4 executive members and 5 directors at large. And at our 2019 meeting, as was mentioned in the minutes, we've added an SCHS representative. So we will recommend that be Jordan Inverarity. Jordan, did I say your name correctly? I hope I did.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So to be our at-large board member, I believe it's a non-voting role from the Springbank Community High School. So that's great. Thank you, Jordan, for that. And we have two outgoing board members, as I mentioned. So Chris Berry is the vice president, and Chris worked hard, really hard, to advance our community center concept, get us a new hall/community center, and has worked with the consultant that we had, GEC, and our group, I believe, to do a pretty robust feasibility analysis and business case, which we've provided to Rocky View County. So Chris had amazing ideas, and what I really loved about Chris was that he was able to talk to anyone, and he, for some reason, he could just connect with people really well. So I will miss him on the board and miss working with him on the recreation items. Now, of course, Rocky View County's recreation movement has kind of stuck. They seem to be having some staffing issues, so there just wasn't, it just isn't something. Well, we're waiting on Rocky View County for their guidance. So I'm very thankful to Chris for his contributions over the last, I believe, two and a half years or so. So thank you, Chris. I know you're not here, but on behalf of the board, it was really great. And the second person that's leaving us is Clarence Buckley, longtime board member of the Springbank and member of the Community Association, whose father actually founded the Community Association. So he is our outgoing director at large. And Ian will speak to Clarence shortly, but for me personally, it was just a joy to have Clarence on the board because, first of all, he brought this sense of humor that could have everybody chuckling, usually with a good dose of sarcasm in there, and very committed to the community. And just he had, the ability, and not many people do, to take something that's complex and distill it down into something that people understand. So he could sort of get to the crux of a matter very effectively to the benefit, I would say, of our board. So he will be sorely missed. Ian, did you want to add something about Clarence?
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. I've known Clarence for most of the couple of dozen years I've lived in Springbank, and gotten to know him quite well, especially in our time together on the Community Association board. I know Clarence's father founded the association formally as a society in 1942. Now, Clarence wasn't terribly old at that time. I mean, he was starting to get there, so he was probably dragged kicking and screaming into the room to assist. But he basically took over presidency of the Community Association after his father retired, and was the president for 2 or 3 decades. And he's been on the board the whole time as well. He certainly was, like Karen said, a breath of fresh air. When he had that little twinkle in his eye, you weren't quite sure what was coming next, but you knew it would be something you need to pay attention to. But outside of the community, he was Rotarian, and he worked tirelessly and still does with that group. They championed some facilities in Africa, and I know Clarence and his wife had visited over there last year, and he also actually volunteered and delivered Meals on Wheels until last year. So it's amazing in terms of running the farm as he did, and being involved with everything else that's ongoing. And I know there's many things that he did that he just did them and didn't want any recognition or anything else. But it's appreciated that we have people like that have been members of our community and continue to be, that make our community what it is. And like he's also been a very long time member of the Springbank United Church, and sits on the graveyard committee there. There's no foreshadowing going on there. That's just one of his interest levels. But overall, I don't think there's way we can probably thank this man enough, since he's been such a staunch supporter of the community, and he's lived through the COVID issue as well and came through it. Although it affects all of us differently, but I think when I last talked to him, which was just a few days ago, he seemed to be kind of back in focus, and just he's always been a busy person, and if it's he's one of those people, if you don't see him busy doing something, you almost go over and say, what's wrong? Because that's just the way he is and will be. So anyway, I think he deserves certainly a huge amount of recognition, not only from the association, but I think from the community at large. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. And I just want to let people know we do have a gift planned for Clarence that is underway. And once we are able to, we will present it to him in honor of all his years of contribution with the association. So what we're proposing to do, our board had a conversation about this the other day. We are definitely in a state where we are growing in our reach and complexity as an association. And so recognizing that we're going to continue to grow, and we'll be taking on some new things over the coming year and next year also, is that we're proposing to leave that position unfilled. Oh, my kids are upstairs. That position unfilled until our fall 2021 AGM. And the reason is that as a board, we want to do some planning about our strategic priorities, and that will allow us to identify what gaps we have in terms of skill sets. And then we would really like to find a person that brings those skill sets that can round out our board and help contribute to those priorities. I guess we're to the point where we need to be matching the skill set with the direction we're headed. And so we just need a little bit of time as a board to do some planning. And we will be sort of talking as a board about how to engage the community and interested parties about what that planning is. And we're more than happy to engage in planning more broadly, but also within our board is sort of our main priority is once this AGM is done to get back as a board and just do some really important and hard work about where are we focusing, because we have lots of great ideas, but certainly they all take work. So I guess that's what we're asking today from our members, is just to hold that position open until we can do a little bit more planning. And our 2021 AGM, it's not actually going to be open for that long, because our 2021 AGM we're proposing for the 14th of October. Regarding the vice president position, that is one that we need to fill. We do need to round out our executive. And so over the course of the last, I would say actually 6 months, as more and more developments have come forward, we've just recognized that's a real gap in our skill set. And along the way, happened to come across Al Schmidt. And Al brings a wealth of experience in this area that we lack. And in particular, in the planning and development area, because he was vice president of Lakai Group, which has been involved in various developments in the city of Calgary. He's quite familiar with the development process from a developer standpoint, but also when I speak with Al, I recognize he's very experienced in how developers and municipalities can work with community associations. And I think that's something that, due to our current situation in Springbank and with Rocky View County under pressure to look at a lot of developments along this western edge, that we need. So Al, I think, also brings something that is lacking in terms of, for us, in terms of process. And what I see is the one thing that concerns me over the long run with a small community association is how do you make it sustainable? How do you make it live past the current composition of the board? And so Al and I have spoken about those types of questions. And, I think Al will have some ideas about how to help us create that sustainability and that viability over the long run. He's quite a process and oriented person, and that's what we need from a board standpoint to make sure that what we're doing is going to last. So that is the recommendation for the vice president role. Al, is there something you would like to add to that?
Thank you, Karen. I just, as a way of giving people a sense of why my name is there and why I'm here tonight. I contacted Karen in light of some of the applications that I saw coming forward in Springbank, and it really appeared to me that the Springbank community and the Springbank area is at a bit of a crossroads. The potential is there for significant changes and impacts to this community, to the landscape of this community, as Rocky View continues to consider and approve various planning applications. And I think there's a perception, certainly on my part and in conversation with Karen, that Springbank residents are not as engaged as they could be. And almost more importantly, that Rocky View County is not as mindful to our potential concerns as they ought to be. So on a go-forward basis, I'm very hopeful that we can improve both of those things, get more engagement from the community, and get Rocky View's ear turned in our direction. So hopefully we'll be able to find the requisite support in the community to make sure that we can speak with a strong voice.
Thank you, Al. Jordan, as our Springbank High School representative, is there anything you would like to say?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really excited. I've never really done anything like this before. So yeah, I'm super excited and it should be really good. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
You are very welcome. One of the things we see as our future of the community association is to tap into the youth in Springbank to help us keep a pulse on what's happening in the community. And we've done a good job. Lynn, I made the connection with one of our regular contributors to our newsletter, and Akram, which has been amazing because they can just provide insights into what's happening in our community from the youth perspective. And so we're really thrilled, Jordan, that you are joining us on this journey for the upcoming year. So if there's nothing else about the slate of candidates, I think we're ready for a motion there.
I can make a motion to accept that slate of candidates for the board.
Thank you, Terry. Is there a seconder?
I can second it.
Jan? Yep, thank you, Jen. Okay, I'm going to put up that poll. Am I getting better at this or no? Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. We'll give everyone some time to respond. Great, that is a majority, so I'm going to end the polling. Can you all see that? Now viewing, okay, great. So that motion is carried. Thank you very much. And we do look forward, we are very excited about our future, and we are really excited to get the strategic planning process dealt with so that we can determine who exactly is going to be the best fit for this board and help us succeed over the long run. So in terms of the last item on our agenda is just new business. If there's any new business, I know our board had talked about something for Clarence, but I don't know if that's if someone wants to make that motion, or if there's anyone else that wants to raise new business now, or if you want to save it for the Q&A once the meeting is adjourned.
Lisa
Lisa,
Skelton's.
can everyone just see the chat, or would you like me to make repeat what Lisa has said here? Lisa,
Do you want me to just, do you want me to speak?
Yes.
sure.
I hate how I look on Zoom, which is why I've been hidden. I want to look as young as Karen, but anyway, it's not going to happen. I need a filter. I just want to say, I think it's fantastic, Jordan, and I can't even see your face. I'm going to try to find your face on my screen. I think it's wonderful that you've joined the board. I think it's, this is exactly what we need. I'm with the Park for All Seasons, and everyone is old and tired and extremely committed and extremely
Not you, Lisa.
Yeah, that's right. But I think it's fantastic. And I just want, I mean, everyone knows that Zoom meetings that have to be done, and school has to be done on Zoom, and everything has to be done on Zoom. But I've been to some of these AGMs with the SCA in the past, and you'll be so glad that you joined, because you'll get to meet a room full of really funny, fun, engaged community members, and you'll get a sense of history of your community, and you're going to bring a sense of future of the community. So I just wanted to say a particular welcome to you, Jordan, and thank you, and good on you, and good on the SCA for recognizing the value in, you know, and inviting someone. Send all your friends over the Park for All Seasons to our AGM. That's all I wanted to say. I'm going to mute again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I miss you when I hear you speak. I miss that energy.
Oh, well, you know where to find me. I'll be seeing you soon.
That's true. Okay. And I think we'll leave it at that, unless there's anything else for tonight. I'll give people a moment.
I would just like to
Yeah.
say something, Karen, if you don't
Sure.
mind.
Yes, of course.
I would like to thank the board for all of the work that they have done over the past several years regarding the Springbank Dam project. That has been a tremendous undertaking. And I can't imagine the man hours that people have spent putting that together on behalf of the community. So I just wanted to acknowledge that work and say thank you so much to all those who contributed.
Thank you, Judy. And for those that don't know, Judy Hunter is our trustee, and for ward, what ward are you, 5?
5.
Which is the Bragg Creek Schools, Springbank Schools, and north of Cochrane and Bears Paw also. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it.
And Kim McKeiler said in the chat that she absolutely concurs with what Lisa and Judy have said. Exclamation point. And Karen, you recognize lots of other people, but I think you need to be recognized as well for your thousands of hours and trying to make our community safer. So thank you as well.
More than
Can I
thank
just,
you.
I'll just add something when you're done there, Lynn.
Go ahead,
I'm
Barbara.
done.
Hey, guys. Welcome, Jordan. There's just a couple people that I should thank as well, or the board should thank. So the initial project with the school included Carson and Divya, and Carson was actually the initial board member appointed to this position, and he has since graduated. So I'm not sure if he's here tonight or even still living in Springbank, because COVID sort of disconnected us. But I need to officially thank him and Divya for being the first representatives from the school. And Jordan, maybe if you know them, you can ask them their advice and some learning going forward. And yes, future is good with the young cohort on our board. So thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for your time. You are more than welcome to stay. I'm going to adjourn the meeting now. So we are actually slightly ahead of schedule. So thank you to our board members, everyone that attended, Kim McKeiler, and I do believe Shane Hooker. I just wanted, I do believe you have a new business in the community. You're doing the County 44 waste recycling, right? So I just, it was nice of you to attend our meeting too. I just saw you on the list here.
Oh, thank you, Karen.
Thanks. So with that, the meeting is adjourned, and you're welcome to stay and ask questions, and we can open it up if you like. So, and if you want to go ahead with your night, that is great too. Thank you so much.